Welcome to the Bird's Eye View Sports Edition. This is the day after, and the game we had yesterday was Oregon versus Colorado. And so Oregon is 7-1 in this game, and Colorado is 1-7. But when you're trying to win a championship and have a year that Oregon's trying to have, make it to the Rose Bowl championship in the Pac-12, then you have to take every game as you take it. So, this game went as expected. There was at least one ejection for targeting, which will hurt for the next game. I think it was Jamal Hill. And that will not be ideal, but since we play Washington, it should still be okay. All right, so let's take a look at the highlights we got going on here. And we start off with the kickoff. That was a beautiful interception. Okay, so here we have we the running sorry we have the running back Whittington here. It's his. All right, so they just run it out here. All right, So in this game, there was a lot of things that happened, a lot of wrinkles and stuff. Oregon is the only team, I think, in the league this year that has had an offensive lineman catch a touchdown, a linebacker run for a touchdown, and a quarterback catch and receive a touchdown. All three of those together. It's an amazing performance. Let's take a look at Bo Nix's stats here. So, I mean, what more can you say? The guy was 20 for 24. I mean, that's pretty efficient. 274 yards, 11.4 average, 2 passing touchdowns. And I mean, what are you going to do, right? And then you have Bucky Irvington, 11 carries, 120 yards. He had a great game. 10.9 average on him. Whittington had 8 carries for 37 yards. Bo Nix had 9 carries, 16 yards. Most of those were QB sneaks, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns to add to his 2 passing touchdowns. So we have 195 yards on the ground, average of 5 yards a carry. It's hard to stop a team that's getting 10 yards a pass and 5 yards a carry. So we look at Hudson had 4 receptions for 80 yards. Look at we had 22 receptions over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 receivers. That is the definition of spreading the ball around. I mean, what can you do when there's 11 guys catching the ball? Who do you key on, right? They're just going to throw it all over the place. So, like I said, it was a great team effort. They pretty much shut Colorado down. I mean, but they were supposed to, right? It's Oregon. But so okay, let's talk about something here, because I always have to go back at the beginning of the year after the Georgia game. I was not high on Bo Nix. I was not sold. He has changed my mind. I was completely wrong. He has done everything that he's had to do and excelled at that. And the guy is averaging like 4 or 5 touchdowns a game. Oregon's averaging like 45 points a game after the Georgia game. Sure, it was the first game of the year. There was some mistakes that happened, but since then, Bo Nix has been on a tear. And in the game that he had against Colorado, he's the 3rd player in Oregon history ever to rush, throw, and receive a touchdown pass. That's a pretty amazing thing. I think Joey Harrington was the last one that did it in the Holiday Bowl. And at this point, Bo Nix deserves to be in the Heisman talk. He deserves to be in the Heisman talk. He is showing that he's super efficient, making all the right decisions. And, I mean, what can I say? The guy has won me over. He's doing an excellent job. Now, here's where. So the polls came out. That's why I waited. And then with the time change, it just took a little bit longer because now it's an hour different. So Oregon is now slotted at number 6, up from number 8. And what I'm not completely sold on is the fact that TCU is above. Okay, I'm okay with TCU being above Oregon. What I'm not okay with is TCU being above Tennessee and Oregon is not above Tennessee. Because Tennessee lost to Georgia in week 10, 27-13. They scored 13 points on Georgia. Oregon lost to Georgia the very first game of the year, Dan Lanning's very first game. Now, week 10, where should you be, right? You should be a better team. And what would happen if Tennessee had played Georgia in game 1? I imagine the score would have been a hell of a lot worse than 27-13, as was the Oregon score. And I imagine that score would have been very much the same as what Georgia did to Oregon. And so I'm not sold on this Tennessee in week 10 losing to Georgia and being above Oregon that lost to Georgia in week 1. I'm not really okay with that. But in the end, Oregon is number 6 and the season's not over. So Oregon still has a lot to work to do. They got Washington up next. I think it's at Washington. No. It's they have Washington at home. They got Utah at home, and then they go to Oregon State. And so this is one of Oregon's most grueling sets of this season. So as much as I don't like to see this Tennessee above Oregon because they lost to the same team and Oregon lost to him week 1 and Tennessee lost to him in week 10 and Tennessee really didn't do anything more than Oregon did. In fact, I would say Oregon, even though the score didn't show it, I would say Oregon's offense showed up better than Tennessee. And the reason I say that is because Oregon moved the ball. Oregon did not allow a sack. I think Georgia got like 5 sacks on Tennessee. And I would really like to have seen what would have happened if Oregon would have played Georgia in week 10 in an alternate universe instead of Tennessee in week 10. Because I think Oregon may not win that game, but they have a way better showing. And it's at least as much of a football game as Georgia lets anybody have. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like they have really had that much of a close game this year, right? So 49-3, 30-0, 47-8, 39-22, 26-22. Okay, Missouri was a close game-ish, but it really wasn't as close as the score. Auburn 42-10, Vanderbilt 55-0, Florida 22-0, and then Tennessee 27-13. I mean, like, I don't know. I whatever it is, or like I said, Oregon still got a game to play. They got Washington, Utah, Oregon State, and then probably USC in the championship game. And if Oregon wins all those games, I don't see Tennessee being ahead of Oregon by the end of that, because I think this puts Tennessee out of their. Conference title game, because I think that's now Georgia. And they play no ranked teams the rest of the year. And so their year is going to be done where Oregon plays Washington and then a ranked Utah team. And then, we go from there. And then probably another top team in UCLA. USC in the championship game. So yeah, I hate to see it, but it is what it is. Currently, USC is number 8, so that'll be the game that gets played. Utah's 13. Notre Dame got themselves ranked after taking out Clemson. Thank you. I actually have to thank Notre Dame for that win. Oh, and see, so Oregon actually plays ranked number 24 Washington, ranked number 13 Utah, and then Oregon State, who just fell out of the rankings, and then a top 10 probably USC, as long as USC holds out. And if not, because these two play each other the same week that Utah does, so whoever wins this game is still going to be 8 or 9 or whatever is up. So it'll be a huge matchup. But yeah. So, and then of course, you saw good old Miami choke again, and I don't even know if they played. Not gonna show me on here, but they are now. I think they're like 4-5 or something. AC. Where is Miami at? Oh, here we go. So they're now. Are they really overall 2-3? Wow. Okay, so they're 2. No, that can't be. No. Okay, so they're 4-5. They're 4-5, and they play Georgia, Clemson, and Pitt, and I don't see them winning any of these games, and they would pretty much have to win, 2 out of the 3 to go to a bowl. And so Miami is not going bowling, and you are welcome, Mario Cristobal. Thank you so much for leaving Oregon. We very much appreciate it. Give you a round of applause, and good luck, and we are out here. Much love all.